You're listening to JenEric Endtalkers, a Final Fantasy XIV podcast. And now, your hosts, Jen and Eric. Welcome back to JenEric Endtalkers. I am JenEric Eric, and with me, as always, is my beautiful wife, JenEric Jen.
Hello.
And today, our guest is Logan.
G'day. Hi. Hey, how are we?
Hello, how are ya?
Also known as LHP64D. And to make sure I get that in there.
Yeah,
That's
and
the one, yeah.
so this podcast is going to be going up literally the day before Christmas. So happy holidays to everybody.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, yes. We celebrate Christmas, so we all here will say Merry Christmas, but happy holidays to whatever holiday you celebrate.
Or, just hope you have a good dinner tonight. You know?
Just, it's whatever. Happy...
Eat a donut today,
happy
splurge.
Saturday. What is that when Christmas is going to be on a Saturday this year? Yeah. Happy random Saturday in
treat
December.
Yourself.
Treat yourself.
Exactly.
Go get yourself a crumble cookie if you're in the U.S.
Oh, Jen, we really need to talk to Crumble about sponsoring us because you mentioned those so many times.
We've only got it once, too.
We've only gotten them once. Yeah, Jen just knows his bougie cookies.
Bougie cookies. Go get yourself a bougie cookie.
So, this is the first episode of Endtalkers that we have done since the release of Endwalker, and it's been going great. So, for our segment, what we've been doing in Fantasy 14 this week, or, well, since the last episode, Endwalker is the answer to that. Whenever we've been able to get in, if you're, not familiar with what's going on, the queues are pretty bad at times.
Ultimate.
Yeah, yeah. What do they call it? The Q Savage or something like that.
It's ultimate though. Let's be real.
That's
True.
ultimate. Yeah,
True.
yeah.
Let's not lie to ourselves. True.
Savage
Eric-
implies a chance.
in the middle of my workday, Eric will be like, "Jen, you need to get logged in because we are streaming later." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, hold on." Pull everything to one side so I can get it. Luckily, we've been able to get in on time. There was a couple of times where I was like, I'll probably be still logging in as we're starting stream, but luckily I've been able to get on with plenty of time.
Yeah, we
Nice.
could. When anybody would ask us, "What are you doing?" I'm doing MSQ. And you're like, "Oh, you're doing the story?" Like, no, I'm mopily sitting in line, or no, mopily sitting in queue.
Mopily,
Yeah.
I was like, lying, MSL?
Yeah, MSQ, mopily sitting in queue.
There you go.
Patent pending trademark.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, so Jen and I have both leveled Reaper and Sage a little bit, but mostly when we're not streaming because we've been saving MSQ for stream, but mostly we've been doing MSQ. We have gotten to level 83. We're doing level 83 MSQ.
Yeah, we left off on our last stream right before the second dungeon, or
Yes.
second duty.
But this stream is going to be 100% spoiler-free as far as MSQ goes, so you, listener, you can sit back in your chair and relax now because we're not going to spoil it for you. Snape kills Dumbledore! Oh, wait.
Wrong story, Eric.
I thought Anakin did that.
Oh, yeah, whoops, wrong one. Sorry. It was Gandalf, actually.
Oh, right.
But so I know that you have been dabbling in Sage a little bit, Logan. What have you been doing recently since the release of the expansion?
To keep it spoiler free, I have finished the MSQ. I've max leveled my Sage.
Nice.
I've even done some extremes on the Sage already.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever fallen in love with a job so hard or so fast as I have with the pew pew. There go my lasers, Sage.
That's really cool.
That's great. I know that it's cool because it's interesting. I feel like I've seen more people who have been gushing about Sage than I have people gushing about Reaper. And I know that people like Reaper. I fucking love Reaper. I was having a blast playing Reaper. But I just find it interesting that it seems like there's more people who are vocal about loving Sage than Reaper at the moment. And that, in my experience, at least.
I feel like support class people are a little bit more vocal in general. I mean, and I'm talking for myself also, but
Yeah. It's fascinating, obviously, different people, different perspectives. From my perspective, going all in on Sage, all I'm hearing from other, I suppose, people who want to play Sage or do, they say that it's a more complicated healer. And that is off-putting for a lot of people who do want to try it, right? Because obviously it looks so good and it sounds so good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who doesn't want to fire a giant laser beam out of their chest? And what I'm hearing about Reapers is that they're a super fun, super fast, and easy melee DPS.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost the converse based on our experiences.
Yeah. They're definitely more along the lines of a face roll class. And it's funny because if you say that about anybody's favorite class, they almost always get super defensive and stuff. This is not face roll. I did hear someone refer to Ninja as a face roll class once, and I was like, what?
Yeah, he got real. He was like, excuse me?
Are you kidding me? Do you even know what mudras and jitsus are? Come on. Like, but
Put my hand up. No, I have no idea.
I love my Ninja, so I probably, even though Reaper is really awesome, I think that I'm probably going to stick with Ninja, but I am going to keep, once I get to max level, I'm going to level my Reaper next. I'm sorry, Dark Knight, but I have to, because I've been working on my Dark Knight. I only have 180 this far, or well, yeah, I only have 180 even. But anyway. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, like, even that's a great topic to move on to, right? So we've leveled a 90, so to speak, or on our way to leveling 90.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to level next, right?
Yeah.
So quite often I get asked, oh, what are you going to do with your Bard now? Because I used to main a Bard, and then the moment Endwalker dropped, I just went, Fiera Sage, like, goodbye, Miko Bard.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you went Bun Boy.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I was gonna say, did you raise change? Okay, that makes sense. Got it.
Well, because like ever since I started the game, I knew Male Viera were coming out, right? Because I only started on the 28th of May, so not even 5 months yet.
Mm-hmm.
And Male Viera had been announced, so it was always I will be switching as soon as I can.
Yeah.
So I did. But the plan, I think, is to like level my Gunbreaker to 90 next.
Okay.
And then maybe dredge up the Bard.
Why did you forsake the Bard so?
Well, it's interesting. Like I came from World of Warcraft.
Yep.
WoW refugee. Yeah. And I was a protection paladin. Like I was main tank, raid lead, guild lead, M+, all that sort of stuff. And then I wanted a break from the responsibility.
Okay, yeah.
So and so that's what drove me to range DPS, being the Bard. And then the draw of Sage was just, it's like futuristic sci-fi. It's literally got lasers that go pew pew. Your healing is based off your damage. Like everything about that just spoke to my soul. So I made the switch.
Yeah.
And so that's actually, I mean, I'm kind of jumping around here a little bit because we've got a bunch of questions that we have set up to ask. But you already mentioned World of Warcraft, so I wanted to ask, what is your history with MMOs?
Yeah, so in terms of MMOs, I pretty much only ever played World of Warcraft. I dabbled in Black Desert Online. But I played WoW for over 16 and a half years before even discovering Final Fantasy.
Wow.
And then, just made the hard switch and jumped into that. So MMOs for over 17 years now.
Cool.
Nice.
So is mostly just you played World of Warcraft since 16 years, so that would be vanilla, right?
Since day one, 16 and a half years. Yeah.
Dang, day one.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. Right? What about you guys?
we Jen played. She started playing halfway through vanilla, I think. Maybe about middle of vanilla, and then I started playing beginning of Burning Crusades.
I have dates right here. Hold on, I'm looking.
So we've been playing for.
I started playing in April 2016 during vanilla, and Eric started playing March.
Wait, you said 2016.
No.
You mean 2006?
Yes. Eric started
Yeah,
playing.
I'm like, what?
Wow. Eric started playing in March 2007 during Burning Crusade.
Yeah. So into vanilla, beginning of Burning Crusades is when we started playing. And yeah, we've been on and off for years, and we've dabbled in a ton of different MMOs. But you had said Black Desert Online. I actually own Black Desert Online. The main thing that drew me to that game is that it was very pretty, and the character creation was super extensive. Like you could actually download the character creator for Black Desert Online by itself.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like separately from the game.
Okay.
And I was
all
like,
right,
this
all
is
right, all right,
interesting.
all right,
So
all right.
I remember doing that and like making a character just because I wanted to see what it looked like. But yeah, so we're the same, and we actually started playing back in Heaven's Ward.
We started playing Final.
Ooh.
We're actually coming up on our 6-year, like, quote unquote anniversary of playing Final
We've
Fantasy.
been playing Final Fantasy 14, yeah. And then of course I played Final Fantasy 11 as well, which is another MMO. So yeah, so besides that, you said you actually, I think that you briefly mentioned this just a second ago, that you it was before you had even discovered Final Fantasy in general, or have you ever played Final Fantasy games before this?
I've never played a Final Fantasy or Square Enix game before Final Fantasy 14.
Wow, not even Square Enix.
Not even Square Enix.
What was your but besides World of Warcraft, what is your history with games?
20 years of Blizzard games?
Okay.
um,
They just they
before
like
that-
grabbed you and like didn't let you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Warcraft, the series, Diablo, the series, even the Lost Vikings.
Oh, I
I
love that
like
game.
caught the tail. Well, you would dwarves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And one of them was named Eric.
Oh,
I mean, how
no,
could
you
I
told
not?
me that
Make
at
that connection.
BlizzCon. You told me that at BlizzCon.
Yeah, it was
That's cool.
one of them was, what was his name? He was like Eric.
The great.
I think it was the one with the red hair, possibly.
Huh.
It wasn't the fat one. That
never-
was the thing that I was happy about. 'Cause I was just like, it wasn't the
fat
big
one.
fat one named Eric. That would be too perfect, I guess.
I never even made that connection. But outside of that, like obviously Blizzard for a long, long time, but dabbled in Mass Effect. Like I love the whole Mass Effect series.
Sweet.
Isn't it coming back?
Well, yeah. So there's word on the street, so to speak, like it's rumor and hearsay that there is going to be another Mass Effect, but we don't know when and we don't know who and
Or what it's
so
going to be
everything is-
about?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
It's Mass Effect, so we're all here for it.
You're like,
That's
"Oh,
kind of like
yes."
Fallout with us, where they're
Yeah,
like they're
true.
making a new Fallout game. It's like whatever it is, I don't care. We're
what
gonna
it is,
play
We'll
it.
be playing it. Yeah.
That's what we
Yeah,
did with
that's-
76.
Yeah, but like, okay, the thing with 76 I like is it kind of went the way of No Man's Sky, right? Had a rough start.
Yeah,
It's had a lot of love and development thrown into it, and it's become a much bigger, better game now.
yep.
I feel like
absolutely.
with Fallout 76, you have to play with friends. Like, if you're playing by yourself, you can still enjoy it.
In the beginning, I think that was true. I think that since then, it's gotten to the point where they've added, like the.
And we've played recently without friends, and I wasn't as like. And it could be because we started to play it with friends, and then now without friends, I'm like, oh, where are Brian and Luca?
Yeah,
like,
I get this.
Where's everybody's else?
Because they added the Wastelander update, which is with all of the human NPCs, and it just gives you this whole other storyline to go through, and you've got actual living raiders, and one of the biggest problems that when it was released was that you were just like, there's no other humans besides me, and it's and all of the other players, I guess, and it's supposed to feel like that, but nobody was really happy with that, so.
Yeah.
I think that they've done a great job at adding more stuff, and I've gone back and played it just because I wanted to play all the new story elements of the Wastelanders update and stuff like that, and I enjoyed it. That was pretty cool.
So you mentioned that you had never played any other Final Fantasy games. Do you think that now that you've played Final Fantasy 14 some, you will dabble in any other Final Fantasy games? Like, has anything kind of caught your interest, or the community been like, you really got to play this game?
So absolutely yes to pretty much every question you asked.
Yes.
Literally, I've had Nier Automata on my wish list for a couple of months now. It went on sale yesterday. It is now on my desktop.
Nice.
Ready
Nice.
to play that one. And then, like, I'm still not so interested in Monster Hunter, even though I love the look of the Rathalos mount in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
But I really do want to go back and dabble in. I think a lot of people are saying Final Fantasy VII. I think that's the one to start in the FF series.
Are you gonna start with the remake or the original?
I think I'm going to start with the remake. If for no other reason than the original graphically wouldn't look amazing.
Oh no, yeah.
I get
And it's
that.
like the remake is different than the original. It's not like a one-for-one remake. They've taken a lot of liberties. They've added things, they've removed things. The gameplay isn't the same. It's not turn-based, it's more action-based. but I think that they're both worth the time. But honestly, like you said, it's with the same with me. I can't go back and play older games that don't look great, because the graphics are just so outdated, and it just for some reason I can't go back to Eric, circa late 90s and be super excited to play this game and think it looks amazing, because I've seen what we can do now with video games, and so I'm just kind of like, this doesn't look good. So yeah, and I think that Final Fantasy VII remake is still a good way to take in the Final Fantasy story, because I mean it's not even fully released. They're coming out with the second part, and then I think they're probably going to be 2 or 3 more parts after that before you get the whole Final Fantasy VII story. Yeah, it's not even. It's going to be a while before you can even play the whole game essentially. But I also recommend to everyone, when we talk about Final Fantasy VI. I think that Final Fantasy VI is a super good Final Fantasy story-wise. It's a lot of fun too, and it's on Super Nintendo. So the thing about games that, like we were saying, that they age with the graphics and everything, I can go back and play a Super Nintendo game, especially a like end of Super Nintendo's run Super Nintendo game, because those games look really good on Super Nintendo. Like they were making game at the peak of Super Nintendo's capabilities, so they look really good. So I think that Final Fantasy, and also I think Final Fantasy VI, on top of that, is getting a pixel remaster. I think it's the last one in the series of getting, because it was the last 2D Final Fantasy game. So that one is definitely worth a try. It's the whole like empire and everything in Final Fantasy XIV is based on the bad guys pretty much in Final Fantasy VI, the whole bad guy empire in Final Fantasy VI. So, and of course, have you done the Omega raids?
Yes, that was really good. I like that.
There was I think Sigmascape was all Final Fantasy VI bosses.
Oh,
And Kefka is the main boss from Final Fantasy VI.
Kefka! Oh my god! When I first saw Kefka,
yeah, he's something, and it's funny because he they had to translate him from the art and then these like 2D pixel character from Final Fantasy VI into the full 3D character, and I think they did a great job. I mean, he's basically the Joker of Final Fantasy.
that's what I thought.
He looks really cool. He looks really cool.
Yeah,
he's essentially because he's just crazy. I mean, he's like this madman, who's out for power and wants to have this ultimate power and everything. And yeah, he's awesome. So I would
Eric
definitely
was,
recommend
like,
that.
Screaming, and I was like trying to like figure, because like I've never played any of the other Final Fantasy games. So Eric's like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm just like trying to like, I want to see the character. Like, let me get through this little cutscene.
I was
real quick.
very
Calm
happy.
down.
I was very happy when I saw him in the game. I was happy when we fought the first boss of Sigmascape, which is the Ghost Train. Like, that was one of my favorite fights in Final Fantasy VI. So when I saw the Ghost Train, I was just like, oh!
That train fight that was so cool in 14.
Yeah.
Like,
they did a really good job.
I was gonna say the Ghost Train, and then you said train fight, and I'm like, wait, are you talking the Nier Automata train fight? Because that was sick. But yeah, we're still talking Sigmascape.
Both were good. They were both good, honestly.
You know what? I'm a train lover, and then I don't know. I don't know.
Really, Jen? You like trains?
I do.
Oh, you never told me.
Yeah. Like, if I can like take, so my mom used to live like 6 hours north of us, and any chance that I could, if I was gonna go visit, and Eric was like, "Oh, I'm gonna stay here and watch the dogs," I'm like, "Okay," I would take like the train, like the. I
you
wish
like
we
riding,
had trains.
You like
more,
riding trains, not fighting them.
Well, yes.
So Train Simulator stream when?
Oh yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yes, it is a thing.
Probably.
I was keeping it from her, Logan. Jeez.
I'm
Thanks.
gonna get onto Steam now and check it out. I'm excited.
Oh damn.
I want to go back to Sage. Are we?
Yeah. I was about to say, so one of our questions is what's your favorite role / class to play, but you've already, made it very clear that it's Sage.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you want to ask about Sage then, Jen?
I took a sip right as you said that.
Same though.
Okay, so I played Sage. We leveled what, maybe 1.5 levels?
Yeah.
2 levels.
Mm-hmm.
So I in WoW, I played a holy priest. I play a white mage. I'm a very reactive healer. So like it was okay. Like I didn't hate it, but like if you could like sell me on the like you know what I mean? Like if you could sell somebody on the like class, like what would you like? What are your like top things that are like great about it?
The aesthetic is phenomenal. The sounds, the oral input is phenomenal. You fire frickin' laser beams.
Freaking lasers, Jin! Freaking lasers!
Whenever I do so there's a skill later on. I'm not going to name it. I'm not going to tell you when you get it. But whenever I use it, I'm firing my laser.
I love it.
But also, I personally think that it's not the easiest healer to pick up, but it is extremely rewarding when you proactively shield your group and no one takes any damage when the AoE goes off. You're just
Right.
like, yes, that's the feeling there.
That's true.
Yeah.
I could see how it seems like a more difficult healer because it seems like you just said, you shield your group before an AoE goes off. It almost expects you to know the mechanics of these fights and stuff a lot better than another healing class where you're basically cleaning up after the damage. You're
Let's use
tending
that.
to the
I like
wounds.
that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. You're
So there's
I'm the field surgeon.
field
What do they call
surgeon.
that?
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much.
So basically you've got your Astrologian and your Sage, which are your two proactive healers, and then you've got your White Mage and what is it, Scholar, which are your two reactionary healers. So they're two different styles of gameplay. And with Sage, I feel like you're almost a DPS that does a bit of healing because of how much healing your Cardia, which is like a level 4 ability, does to the target it's applied to. Sometimes you can double pull packs and you can just go all out DPS, and that does enough healing to keep your tank alive through a double pack,
nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we were leveling and we went through a dungeon, I was just so lost because we were just like, I think it was the first day of early release, early access, and I was just like, yeah, let's do this, and we're like in a dungeon, and I'm just like,
Well,
like, the whole time I was just panic clicking, and
kind of sucked because we couldn't get together a full group, I think. So it was just
well, we had another tank, but the tank
we had a tank.
he did end up saying that he was learning his class too. So
we had a
he was
pug
like, no
tank, so we were
worries.
like, sorry. Which I always
cool
hate
about it,
having to
though.
do that. Or like being able to put together a full group, you're just that understands that you're gonna fuck up a lot.
If I can like give some basic advice on Sage, right?
Yeah.
There's literally 5 skills you need to master that come with your basic toolkit as soon as you get Sage, right? There's Cardia, which is very, very similar to a Paladin's Divine Beacon. You place it on someone and they get healing, but from the damage you do, like a Discipline Priest in WoW.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right? So Cardia, the tank, fire and forget.
Yeah.
You've got Dosis, which is single target DPS, Prognosis, and Diagnosis. One's an AoE heal, one's a single target heal. And then you have Eucrasia, and Eucrasia is critical. Eucrasia changes your Dosis, Diagnosis, and Prognosis into like a powerful AoE shield and heal, and a powerful single target shield and heal, and it changes your single target into a dot. Like, Eucrasia is everything to Sage.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
All the terms are so medical.
They are,
I mean, it makes
except
sense.
Pepsis.
Oh, Pepsi.
Yeah.
Or like a
Pepsi.
Pepsid, a Pepsid AD or whatever.
See, it's still medical. Yeah, Pepsi.
When
There
you
you
have
go.
heartburn.
You got heartburn? Here you go, Pepsi. So you said that you started playing this year, Final Fantasy
May
14.
28th.
What was it that brought you to it? I know it was, you said that you're a WoW refugee, so it was probably a lot of the stuff that was going on with World of Warcraft. But what was it who or what brought your attention to Final Fantasy 14?
Yeah, okay. So I like this question. So obviously World of Warcraft community friends. It turns out that a lot of the World of Warcraft community played Final Fantasy as well. You know, a lot of them described Final Fantasy as their background game while they were raiding in WoW or something. And I'd never heard of it. And I think Kama Sutra, to name check him, was the sort of the most encouraging to come and play it. And then someone showed me the Gabriel A mounts. Oh my God, butchered those words. Can we cut that out? The Gabriel A mount, which is like a mech mount, right? And
yeah.
I'm all for mecha, so that got me in.
Nice.
And I started playing Final Fantasy once a week. As you know, I'm a streamer as well, and I added that into my rotation. And then I started to enjoy it, and then the whole ActiBliz shitfuckery went down. And so I literally hard switched. I went, nope, goodbye ActiBliz, hello Final Fantasy, and never looked back since. Really, it's been a journey. It's wonderful.
Nice. Yeah, it's I noticed it was funny because I feel like a lot of people didn't even realize that a lot of like World of Warcraft content creators like Jen and I also played Final Fantasy 14 because we did. Like we didn't, you know, when Final Fantasy or when World of Warcraft went on its, they had their 8 months of no content, you know. After Shadowlands came out, we were just getting bored. And one of the primary reasons we switched over fully to Final Fantasy 14 was because WoW was boring, you know, and we just weren't having fun. And then of course the lawsuit didn't help, and so we were just like, okay, let's start playing Final Fantasy 14 on our stream. But we had already started streaming it like once a week, I think.
It was one of those like really weird, like, I don't even necessarily like coincident things, because like maybe 3 weeks to a month beforehand, we had started playing it once a week on stream.
Yeah.
And
because
then we were like,
WoW wasn't giving us enough to do, you know, in the game. And then the 9.1 came out, and I was just like not having it with the story. I was really not enjoying that either. So Korthia seemed kind of repetitive. So we ended up just going all in Final Fantasy 14 because we had played Final Fantasy 14 during Heaven's Word. I had played some during Stormblood, and we hadn't played Shadowbringers at all. So we had content that we had to catch up on and to get through. And so we were like, you know, let's just do this because there's a lot for us to do in this game. Yeah, I think that it's one of the, I mean, we've still had to deal with people who are just like, oh, you know, did Asmongold get to you guys and make you switch games? And we're like, dude, we were playing this game before Asmongold even started playing this game. Like, it's not something that we didn't just, you know, jump on the bandwagon. Like, we've been playing this game since Heaven's Ward. And I know that Talias and Inevitable are the same. Like, they've been playing Final Fantasy 14 for a while as well. You know, it's just that recently started streaming it and wanting to make content for it and stuff. So, but I'm really glad that a lot of people have discovered the game. I think that they, I think it's crazy that if you are not up to speed right now on what's going on, they've actually had to shut down sales of Endwalker.
Who does that?
On top of not allow people to sign up for the free trial. That whole copy pasta meme that we all love is totally not true anymore.
For the love of Heidelin, don't.
Like,
Exactly.
I think it is so...
It's understandable.
I get it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, I get it. But it's so interesting that... I mean, they love their game so much that they're trying to...
they're trying to make the experience better for the people who are already here, right? And the game blew up, you know, with the whole thing with ActiBliz and all that kind of stuff. People started switching over, and they kind of blew up there. And then Endwalker came out, and it's just blew up even more. So I think that they said that at one point they were at 24 million active players. And that's active players, not active like subscriptions. Yeah, that's active players because the free trial includes so much, like all the way to level 60. That's, you know, 2 expansions that you can play, and there's so many people who have those kind of accounts. But including those accounts, it was like 24 million, which I think is just mind blowing. and because of the pandemic and the shortage of, the chips and all that kind of stuff, they can't do the necessary upgrades. It's not like they don't have the money, it's they literally don't have the resources,
Right.
Yeah.
And so they've done the best. The only choice that they can make really is to be like, well, for right now,
And I haven't really seen anybody. I mean, I know that they're out there. I haven't really seen anybody in the community who's like outraged at the fact that they're like, okay, we're gonna stop sales. Dude, like, I haven't seen anybody that's just like, how dare you? Because I think the majority of us understand.
yeah.
Yeah, like, and there's so there's a reason that Final Fantasy XIV has won best community this year. They won it at the Golden Joysticks and they won it at the Game Awards. So they won it twice this year alone. And there is a reason, because of people like us, because of people like you, who make the community the special good place that it is. Like,
Right.
we understanding, we go, okay, cool, we get it. You've explained everything to us. Like, it helps so much that their devs are really transparent and really open with the communications they put forward.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because I think that one of the reasons, I mean, every community has bad apples and every community has shitty people, even the Final Fantasy XIV community, and I do think that it's having played World of Warcraft for 15 years or whatever, I definitely experienced more trolling and that kind of hate and that kind of thing in WoW than in Final Fantasy XIV, but I've definitely experienced it in Final Fantasy XIV. I mean, there are some salty fucking people when you do random dungeons and stuff. There are people who really get their freaking balls in a twist or whatever when you don't. They do like tanks that'll do huge pulls, and then Jen will be like, "Can we take it a little bit slower?" And they get mad at you because they think you're a shitty healer because you can't, do at level content where you're pulling 3 different mobs at the same time. Like, it's just it's ridiculous, and there's definitely idiots in there. But I think that because Final Fantasy 14 overall doesn't lend itself to min-maxing as much as World of Warcraft does, I feel like that has a big effect on it.
Yeah. You've really hit the nail on the head there. There's less there's less metrics to gatekeep other people out of the content with. Like, we know that they're there. We know that there are those add-ons and that they are against terms of service.
Right.
But I know the devs are also kind of grey on it. They're like, look, you can use the add-on, just don't be toxic and wield it against other people.
Yeah.
Right.
And it doesn't seem to matter as much, to the point where when you play, every time we start playing World of Warcraft, I actually started playing it recently again a few weeks ago, just casually, and you have to reload all of your add-ons. It's like, I've got to have all these add-ons. Yeah, every time. Like, got to get all my add-ons back together. I've got to get them all set up.
I do not have WoW installed. And Eric was like, I'm going to reinstall it. He'd want to do some of the new content. And I was like, honestly, I don't even want to, because I got to do all my add-ons.
It's like, I'm not going to play it because I want to do all these add-ons. And it sucks because I really don't think that a game being able to, like, having that, min-maxing thing, like, I guess mechanic almost in it, is, I don't think that that's inherently bad. I think that it's okay for people to be able to be that precise with their characters and their play style, but because there's not really a lot of variation as to how you play a character. Like, you were just saying earlier, when it comes to Sage, you're like, these 4 abilities are super important. Like, you can play characters in World of Warcraft a lot more differently. It's like, oh, well, I play my, my druid this way, and I play my druid this way. And they're still viable. Now, there is, of course, the, min-max, this is the way you're supposed to play it to do the most DPS and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think it's inherently bad. I just think it opens the door to a lot of people, like, for people to be shitty, because everybody gets more opinionated about how you're supposed to play it and stuff. You're like, Final Fantasy XIV, it's just just play it like this, and you're doing what you're supposed to.
Yeah, just play it.
Yeah,
Play it.
just play your character. Oh, there you go. Good job.
So besides MSQ and falling in love with Sage, what are some other things like in the game that you like enjoy doing or think is super cool?
And this is overall, not just Endwalker.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
overall.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
are you
mount
like
hunting?
Mount
hunting.
hunting? Okay.
Mount hunting.
Are you like? Do you love all the glamour? Are you into like housing? Like, what are anything else like that?
Yeah, so like it's insane, right? So coming from World of Warcraft, where it was like hardcore rating, hardcore M+, which I miss M+ so much.
Yeah, it could be pretty fun. Yeah.
I kind of wish Final Fantasy had something
That
like
would
M+,
be really
where you
cool.
just push.
Yep.
But I went from hardcore rating and M+ to like I spend more time role playing in Final Fantasy 14
Okay.
than I do anything else. Like I could go clubbing with friends, we go to cafes, we go to the beach parties, like we just
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
hang out and visit player housing, you know, like I think player housing is such a massive fundamental reason as to why Final Fantasy 14 is such a successful game socially.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like yeah,
Yeah.
it just lets people hang out and meet and get together.
We had someone ask us that once, someone from World of Warcraft. They were like, I don't get player housing. Why is it necessary? What do you need it for? And our response to that was, you don't need it, but it's a social aspect of the game, which is hilarious because one of the things that people have been complaining about World of Warcraft for a while is that it has gotten less and less social.
Yeah.
Which it really has. I mean, it's like with, you know, and people blame it on LFG and LFR and all that kind of stuff. But here in Final Fantasy 14, you also have LFG and LFR essentially. You just, you know, you have the player housing in itself opens up this huge area of you being able to interact with other players, like role playing wise, like you were saying, you know, doing the clubbing and hanging out at cafes and all that kind of stuff. But in the same sense, making your FC house a hub for doing all of these things, you actually interact with people in your free company a lot more inside Final Fantasy in the world than you would say in World of Warcraft. Because, you know, you go to your FC house and you see, oh, hey, there's somebody else in my guild, somebody else in my FC, and you're just waving at them and you chat and you emote to each other and all that kind of stuff. And it makes it feel like you live in the same world. Whereas in World of Warcraft, unless you're specifically grouping together to do something, you don't feel that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, like, and the emotes are top tier.
They are
Oh
good.
my god, the emotes.
They were, like I said, I playing World of Warcraft more recently, and I wanted to take a screenshot of my dwarf because if there's one thing I miss from World of Warcraft, it's the dwarves. I love them so much, and I just went back and I was just like, hello, Sir Jeffers, I missed you. I
love you.
I love my dwarves. I really wish they were proper dwarves in Final Fantasy 14, though the dwarves that they have are actually pretty cool. But I wanted to take a screenshot, and I went to just I was like, there's no G pose. And then I was like, oh my God.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I remember this happening in real time, and he was like, almost like talking. He's like talking to himself, and he's like, but there's no G pose. Like, what? Like,
And I was like, World of Warcraft needs a freaking G pose. Like, it needs something like G pose so bad.
G-Pose is its own mini game.
G-Pose is amazing.
Yes.
G-Pose is the best. I love it. I mean, I don't know. I'm honestly not sure if I've even said it on this podcast before, but I have an alternate Twitter account that I specifically made so that I could post G-Pose photos because I didn't want to litter our official JenEricLive Twitter account with G-Pose photos. So I was like, I'm just going to make one for my character and post stuff there. Because I take G-Pose screenshots so much, and like World of Warcraft can benefit from a G-Pose so bad, but I think it's just there's different style of players, and I honestly don't know if there's a lot of the World of Warcraft community would even know what to do with G-Post because
Or they might not even care.
Oh, yeah, exactly. They wouldn't care is what I'm saying. It's like I know a lot of people who'd just be like our friend who was questioning player housing, like this doesn't and there was a person who they mostly do Mythic Plus, so I understand why they're like, what is the point of that? And we're like, well, it's just a different aspect of the game. And Jen and I have done some RP. We were actually doing RP.
We started our initial realm that we started on was Balmung,
which was
the
RP realm.
server realm at that moment.
Yeah.
So we had like our RP outfits. We were pirates. Like Eric wrote a whole story for our FC. Like
oh yeah, Limland's Fury.
There
we
was
had
a whole thing.
Yeah, it was very in depth. Our whole FC was a bunch of pirates, and we I don't know. The RP element in Final Fantasy XIV is actually super awesome.
I love it.
So you had said mount hunting. So do you know how many mounts you have?
Off the top of my head, I honestly don't know. I think I've got like 3.5 pages filled.
Nice.
Oh, okay. You've been playing less time than I have, and I think you have more than I do.
Well, we don't really do. Yeah, we haven't really taken any time to like just.
I mean, yeah, I really do. So in World of Warcraft, even now that there is content that I haven't done and caught up with, I still go back and do mount hunting. Like I almost always find myself just defaulting to mount hunting because that was one of my favorite things to do in WoW. And so, at first I'll be like doing Korthia and doing all the story quests and everything and leveling my renown, and then 30 minutes later I'm just like I wake up suddenly out of a trance and I'm in ICC. And I'm just like,
it's really like that.
Oh shit.
Shit, what happened? Ah, dang it.
Oh, g'day, Lich King. Pleased to meet you again.
Give me your horse.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've recently started kind of getting into mount hunting in Final Fantasy because it doesn't seem as it's not quite the same as World of Warcraft, because World of Warcraft it's like this mount drops off of this boss, so you run this over and over again until you get it. That is the case for some mounts, but I feel like there's such a different variety of kind of how you get the mounts and all that kind of stuff that excuse me, that it's a little bit different, like I know that I could sit there and run some of the early primals to get the ponies.
Yeah,
you can run them just over and over again. I could literally just sit there and run it and then run it and then run it and run it until I get the pony. But I did that on Garuda. I think I ran her about 20 times in a row, and I didn't get the pony. And I was like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. Like,
you gotta switch it up. You gotta,
I could do this, but I don't want to.
Make a list of all of them, just go in a row, and then start back.
Well, then we were doing our Wondrous Tales, and we did Leviathan, and I got the pony off of that, and I was like, wasn't even trying for it, and I got the Leviathan pony.
Rude.
Well, one of the differences that I really do like about Final Fantasy mount hunting versus World of Warcraft mount hunting is the RNG protection. So, as you know, every time that you run something for a mount, they drop a totem or a mask or a consumable. And when you get 99 of those, you can turn it in for the mount. So no one will ever run for a mount more than 100 times.
Yeah,
if it's one of those kinds of mounts. Whereas the Astral Cloud Serpent or something in World of Warcraft, players have like farmed it over 3,000 times and still don't have it.
Yeah. Yep. I've killed
like the RNG protection.
I've killed the Shaw of Anger so many fucking times.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. I think that I've killed that thing more than any boss in the game. And yeah, still don't have it. But yeah, no, I like that. I like that about like it's another thing that we just need to get a group together and farm Rathalos one day. But Rathalos is the same. You can kill Rathalos over and over again, and he might drop the mount for you, but if you don't, you'll have the scales eventually.
Yeah.
And so eventually you'll just be able to turn in the scales and get it that way. So
exactly.
Yeah, no, that's I really like that as well. So are you playing anything else besides Final Fantasy XIV right now?
I'm playing Q Ultimate right now.
As we all are.
I know, we'd already talked about it, and I seriously sat there and thought, what's that? Jin, come on. Get with it, Jin. Get with it.
But so like more recently I was playing the Lost Ark closed beta.
Okay.
recently, as in even tomorrow and about 3 weeks ago, doing like a League of Legends. Oh, well, tomorrow. This is being released the day before Christmas, so
It would be in
then
the
it'll be
past.
like a week ago.
Yeah.
Go watch the VOD.
Yeah, League of Legends, because of all the arcane hype, and
Uh-huh.
I really wanted to put together like every time you say League of Legends, people go, "That's so toxic," and even I did another interview with someone recently, and I even said the same thing.
Mhm.
But when you play with friends, it's actually really fun and nowhere near as off-putting or as toxic as playing in like random pickups.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is what kind of encouraged me to put these events, these tournaments together.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so playing that a little. Just picked up XCOM 2. Just picked up Near Automata. Skyrim 10-year anniversary. I've never played that before.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, so you're not buying
Exciting.
it for the 6th time like I am.
No.
And it's funny because it's just like, oh, I got the Skyrim special edition. Like, I don't need this friggin' new one that they're coming out with. And then they're just like fishing, and I'm like, God damn it!
That was really well done. Fishing, you know.
Fishing. It's like the one thing that I was just playing Skyrim last. Like, yeah, this really game could really use some fishing, and then Bethesda's spying on me. And they were just like, let's add fishing in.
We need to have a fishing day in Final Fantasy also.
We actually a friend of ours who I don't know if he streams very often anymore, Hrothmar, he used to do streams where he would just fish in different games.
In different games. It was the best.
It was so good.
So good.
He had this one where he had done this fishing stream in Red Dead Redemption 2. And it was the most there was this epic adventure that he went on where he caught this huge fish and he was like, oh my God. And so he puts it on his horse and then he goes and catches another one and there was no room on his horse. So he had to walk all the way
with this huge fish.
With this huge fish in his hands all the way back to a town. And then he gets attacked by wolves. This fish, and it was so cool. So I like fishing, and it's funny because I actually haven't gotten into fishing in Final Fantasy XIV just yet, because I feel like there's been a lot of story stuff that I've been able to do because we came back at the end of Shadowbringers.
We've been pushing pretty hard.
So yeah,
the
we've
last
been
couple
just
months.
doing a whole bunch of that, and we're going to be doing the same thing with Endwalker. So when things get kind of calm in Endwalker, I think that I'll probably start messing with all of the.
We should have an epic fishing day.
Yeah.
Well, with all the talk of the amazing new roles and jobs and crafting professions, what I'm hearing on the streets, as it were, is that fishing has actually had the biggest glow up of all of them.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I heard something. Somebody in our FC recently was saying something about the spearfishing minigame.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, shit, that sounds fun.
Yeah, one of our community members, Naruto, is super into fishing. So I think that's the reason why fishing is kind of near the top of my brain.
Well, and then I imagine that sanctuaries are going to have some, you'll be able to do some kind of fishing related thing in sanctuaries. So, which I'm so excited for sanctuaries. I don't even know. They're going to be.
I have only heard little bits and pieces. Are they supposed to be farms or something? Tell us more about sanctuaries.
Yes. Sanctuaries are basically you have your own island and you're going to be able to do. I feel like they're going to be a lot more focused on crafting related stuff, but you're going to be able to do your own. You're going to be able to do farming essentially. I would imagine that it's going to be very similar to your FC plot, but it's going to be bigger.
Maybe.
And they're also going to have this thing where you're going to be able to basically let your minions run free. So
What?
it's just
it's like Animal Cross. I don't know. It seems Animal Crossing-esque a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
and you're just going to be able to just be like, all right, little minions, and they're just going to be running around in your sanctuary. And I was like, just that in itself, I was just like, this is the best.
Pokemon Simulator.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to add pet battles.
All right, I'm here for it.
So yeah, I'm actually just excited about that because that's going to be very much a casual, once you get past everything and you've beaten Endwalker and the MSQ and all that kind of stuff, and you're just wanting to chill out. Just hopefully you can have one on the moon. But again, I don't know the story, so we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
I just don't know what's going on with that.
Jupiter. I mean, what?
So, besides video games, let's go into the world of Logan. Do you have any other hobbies that you do?
Sugar honey iced tea. Have you ever heard of the 501st Legion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So I am 501st Legion. I have a
Nice.
Scout Trooper cosplay.
Heck yeah.
What? That's awesome.
Right? So that's one thing. I also dabble in Warhammer 40,000.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a casual 25,000 points there. That is anything but casual. That is far too much.
Yeah.
Most games are between 1,500 and 2,000 points.
Those are friggin' nerd money sinks, those things, but
So expensive.
it's so expensive. It's honestly the reason that I never got into it. I did like a little mini version of a game sort of like that, and it was the ones where I don't even know. Do you remember what it was called? It was the
No.
monster game, and it
know
was
what you're talking
essentially
about.
like you were playing like you were playing these like Godzilla like monsters
Godzilla's
almost.
more what I was thinking.
And you had to buy the packs and everything, and it came with different buildings and the different monsters and stuff, and you had your main monster and then a bunch of small monster units that you fought against your friends.
Oh.
It was a really cool concept, and the art style looked really cool too. But yeah, the money was just the reason why we were kind of like, I don't know, like a friend of mine gave me and Jen both a set because we were going to play it with them, and then we never had the time, and so we ended up giving them the set back. But if I would have gotten into that, it would have been detrimental to our bank account for sure.
Yeah.
I played Magic the Gathering. We played Magic the Gathering for years, so that's
Yeah.
that was a money sink too.
Yeah.
It's funny because people say that was like original pay to win game.
Yeah.
Because that's
So let me.
essentially
I'm gonna
what's-
call myself out right here.
You could.
real quick because I liked playing white decks because they were healing, and that's what I do. And there was one card, and we were at the.
Oh, yeah.
We were at
I
the.
just remember the story.
The comic book store buying cards, and I didn't know I could only have a max number.
It was called
of,
Holy, I
Huh?
think. It was called Holy. Yeah.
Holy.
I
And
believe.
Eric didn't tell me that there was only a max number of each card I could have, so I bought like
I think it was called Holy.
10. Like I bought a lot of them.
It basically negated all damage that would have been done
Yeah,
that round. That
yeah,
that
yeah.
And so Jen bought a bunch. She bought like
they
10
were
of them.
cheap. They were cheap.
And she was just like, "Oh, I'm going to get so many of these." And then it wasn't until afterwards.
I think I like put them in my deck and started playing them, and you were like, "How many of those do you have?" And I was like 10.
And I was like, "Jen, you can only have 4 of one card in a deck."
And I was like, "That's not fair."
She was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, to avoid this situation that we're in right now."
Eric's like, "Wait, how many of those you got?" Oh, it was great.
That's
I
funny.
remember learning Magic. Well, I still have 2 decks in my drawers right now. It's been a while since I've played.
Same,
I
yeah.
have the Return to Innistrad Werewolves. Do you remember when they did the werewolves that you could flip over?
Mm-hmm.
They were
Yeah.
red and green.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then the angels as well, because Emily, my fiance, really liked just the look of the angels. So
Yeah.
we just made decks to play against.
That's what.
Nice.
Yeah, I still have like 2 decks, and they're green decks. I really liked green. I liked elf decks because
Ooh.
they could buff up a lot if you got the right cards.
Yeah.
All my
and-
lands are elves now.
Yeah, exactly. All of my lands are elves, and then like every elf, you would do that to get all your lands as to elves, and then you would, which I think was Ambush Commander, and then you would do another one that made all of your elves or all of your lands 1/1 elves, and then the other one was all of your elves were buffed by like 2. So I would have like these 2/2 or 3/3 lands that were turned into elves.
So I needed these holies because he was doing like 50 damage to me per turn.
It's like, all right, this next turn I'm going to totally kill you. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I do miss Magic at times, but I had a bunch of in my last job coworkers that played that game like crazy. One of them was actually going to tournaments and stuff at conventions like PAX. But I could never. I don't know. I could never bring myself to get into it again because I knew it would consume me. So have you ever been to PAX Australia?
Yeah, a couple of times.
Nice.
Went 2016, 2017, missed it a couple of years, and then COVID has cancelled it. I had
Yeah.
tickets for this year, but COVID cancelled this one.
Hopefully next year.
Yeah, big dreams. Are you guys going to PAX East?
We are
We're
not. We went to
not.
PAX West actually,
Ah.
and it was interesting because it was the first PAX since the pandemic, and it was. I mean, it's PAX West is like the PAX. You know, it used to be called PAX Prime, but it was smaller than PAX South, and PAX South is the smallest PAX there is. You know, or it was.
There was.
I say rip because PAX South is canceled forever.
Because
Yeah.
it's so small.
Well, yeah, they ended up just saying that it wasn't growing, and they canceled it, so there's not ever going to be a PAX South.
Which stings because it's in our town.
It was in San Antonio, Texas, which is where we lived, so
Ah.
yeah, it's a super bummer. But we'll probably end up just starting to go to West whenever we can, because
We wanted to
love
go to
PAX.
East, but with me starting my new job and just kind of how things are landing for us this year, I think we're going to visit some friends at the beginning of 2022, crossing our fingers that things will get back to normal, and then try to hit up some conventions at the end
Yeah,
of the
because
year.
we want to do TwitchCon, we want to do FanFest.
PAX West,
Um,
and they are all they
PAX West.
they generally all land around the same 2
near
or
the
3
same
months.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's I don't know if we'll go. I don't know if they're going to have another BlizzCon anytime soon, but we did go to BlizzCon in 2019, and it was freaking amazing. It was so much fun, but I don't know if we're going to hit that one up anytime soon. But yeah. So cons are definitely awesome, and it's really cool that you have the Stormtrooper, or the Scout Trooper. Scout Trooper. I forgot. I'm sorry. I should have just said Trooper.
Yeah, would have been kinder on both of us, I think.
Aw. So I know you haven't been playing Final Fantasy XIV for super long, but if you could change one thing about Final Fantasy XIV, what would that be?
Chat system.
Okay.
The chat system. So, like, coming from World of Warcraft to Final Fantasy XIV's chat system, I mistell so often in Final Fantasy XIV because, like, there's so many different channels.
Right.
There's so many different, like, I'll call, like, link shells. It's not as smooth as the World of Warcraft chat system, in my opinion. And if I could change one other thing, it would be the friends list. We need to be able to have more friends, and I wish it would load instantly like the World of Warcraft list.
Right.
Yeah.
Not take, like, I capped friends in a month. Like,
Wow. Yeah. It's I think going back to the chat system, I really and I don't know if WoW has anything built in that does this now, but I always used WoW IM,
Yeah.
and it basically just makes your tells pop up as a separate window.
yeah, I've seen that.
It's
yeah.
I loved
freaking
it.
great. Like, if
Yeah.
anybody messages me, I hear the boop sound, and then it pops up in this little window. And if I'm in the middle of combat or something like that, it'll tell them that I'm in the middle of combat.
No, that was another.
Deadly
DBM,
Boss
wasn't
mods.
it?
Yeah.
But no, I think it did something. It won't pop up though.
Oh, right.
won't pop
It
up.
would stop it from popping up.
It won't pop up if you're in combat.
You're correct.
And then if you do go into combat once it's popped up, it like goes into like a transparent, so you could see through it and stuff. But it was just really cool, and I would love to have something like that in Final Fantasy, because being able to just have a separate window for this conversation that you're having, so things don't get lost.
Right.
And you could just click in there and automatically respond to the person instead of having to click their names and all that kind of stuff.
That's true, because we had started to dabble in RP in WoW before we stopped playing, actually. We were in an RP guild and all that stuff. And there was some pretty cool RP add-ons that, yeah, I could definitely see certain things being implemented into Final Fantasy XIV that would super help the RP aspect also with chat in general.
Yeah,
I agree.
I mean, the chat is good.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
could do with some work.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
So, thank you so much for joining us and for chatting with us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Where is it that our listeners can find you?
I mean, I'm mostly on Twitch and Twitter, both of which can be found at LHP64D.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you need to find an Aussie playing Final Fantasy XIV and tweeting far too much crap far too often.
Yep. And for our American listeners, that's LHP64D.
That language conversion. Thank you.
And we will have all those links in the description of the podcast and on YouTube, so you can always go down there and click that to get there quickly.
Yeah, and like you said, I would say to plug your League of Legends thing, but that's going to be in the past.
Go watch the
it will be.
VOD. Go watch the VOD.
Go watch the VOD.
I'm sure whoever wins is amazing.
Yes, no, it was so good, guys. There were so many highlights, and Redacted won, and I can't believe Redacted did that play and got that pentakill.
It was great.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me on, guys. I really do appreciate it, and I wish you all the best in your MSQ journey. It's good.
Hopefully
I'm
not.
excited.
Hopefully
I'm
not
super
too many
excited for
tears,
it.
but I'm not.
That's
I'm not crossing my. I'm not going to hold my breath.
Every second comment was, "Have you cried yet?" And I'm like,
Yeah. Great. But anyways,
awesome.
yeah. So thanks for listening, everybody, and make sure you stick around for more JenEric Endtalkers. We will hopefully be doing a spoiler cast in a few episodes. I don't know how many episodes. It's going to be a while, but we will eventually do one where we talk about Endwalker and all of the awesome stuff that happened. But anyway, we'll see everybody very soon. Make sure you check out Jen and I on twitch.tv/JenEricLive. We stream a lot of Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Bye.
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 Thanks so much for listening. JenEric Endtalkers is recorded live on twitch.tv/JenEricLive, where Jen and Eric also stream a lot of Final Fantasy XIV, as well as a few other games. And as always, keep your forge hot and your ale cold.